Yaphet Kotto. Then, Yaphet Kotto roared onto the scene in Live and Let Die, 1973, leaving a lasting mark. Now, at 85, they stand tall among the legends of the big screen. Lorenzo Lamas. Then, in Snake Eater, 1989, Lorenzo Lamas made a strong impression as a force in action cinema. Now, at 67, their name conjures memories of strength, style, and spirit. Billy Blanks. Then, audiences remember Billy Blanks' impact from The Last Boy Scout, 1991. Now, at 69, they're regarded as icons who helped define the genre. Richard Norton. Then, Jim Cotta, 1985, showcased the power and charisma of Richard Norton. Now, at 75, their contributions still feel fresh, bold, and powerful. Bolo Yeung. Then, Bloodsport, 1988, was a standout moment for Bolo Yeung in action film history. Now, at 78, their unique energy remains unmatched in the action genre. Tom Skerritt. Then, Tom Skerritt turned heads in Top Gun, 1986, proving his place among action stars. Now, at 91, their screen legacy continues to thrive long after the credits roll. Brian Bosworth. Then, with Stone Cold, 1991, Brian Bosworth delivered an unforgettable performance. Now, at 60, their name is still spoken with admiration by film lovers. Bruce Boxleitner. Then, Tron, 1982, highlighted the unique screen presence of Bruce Boxleitner. Now, at 75, their cinematic influence continues to inspire industry and audience alike. Sonny Chiba. Then, in The Street Fighter 1974, Sonny Chiba brought raw energy to the screen. Now, at 86, their legacy lives on in the hearts of action film enthusiasts. Henry Silva. Then, with Above the Law, 1988, Henry Silva cemented his legacy in the genre. Now, at 98, their performances remain a masterclass in screen charisma. Clancy Brown. Then, Clancy Brown made a strong impression in Highlander, 1986, defining a bold era. Now, at 66, their artistry is as respected now as it was at their peak. Robert Z'Dar. Then, Maniac Cop, 1988, showcased Robert Z'Dar's unforgettable screen presence. Now, at 75, their legendary status in action cinema remains unchallenged. Wings Hauser. Then, Wings Hauser turned heads in Vice Squad, 1982, earning cult admiration. Now, at 77, their work remains a timeless example of action excellence. Ken Wall. Then, with The Soldier, 1982, Ken Wall made his mark in the genre. Now, at 70, they're remembered not only for action, but for craft and presence. Steve Railsback. Then, Life Force, 1985, was a defining performance for Steve Railsback in action cinema. Now, at 79, their unforgettable characters live on in pop culture memory. Tim Thomerson. Then, in Trancers, 1984, Tim Thomerson proved his strength as a cult action hero. At 79, their filmography remains a staple in action cinema history. Charles Napier. Then Charles Napier brought grit to Rambo. First Blood Part 2, 1985. Now, at 89, their screen legacy is still cherished across generations. William Smith. Then, with Red Dawn, 1984, William Smith showed raw power and intensity. Now, at 92, their cinematic influence continues to shape storytelling. Bo Svensson. Then, Bo Svensson stood tall in Walking Tall Part 2, 1975, leaving an impression. Now, at 84, they're a lasting figure in the lore of action cinema. Stephen Lang. Then, Stephen Lang made waves with Tombstone, 1993, commanding attention. Now, at 72, their fierce portrayals remain a standard for action heroes. Tom Atkins. Then, in Halloween the 3rd, 1982, Tom Atkins carved out his niche in genre cinema. Now at 89, their influence continues to shape cinematic storytelling. Robert Forster. Then, The Delta Force, 1986, showcased the steady intensity of Robert Forster. Now, at 83, they live on through their iconic performances. Joe Don Baker. Then, Joe Don Baker made a bold entrance with Walking Tall, 1973. Now, at 89, their characters remain etched in the minds of audiences. Dennis Farina. Then, Midnight Run, 1988, showed off Dennis Farina's sharp, commanding energy. Now, at 81, their name brings a smile to anyone who loves classic cinema. James Remar. Then, in The Warriors, 1979, James Remar stood out with a fierce presence. Now, at 71, their presence is woven into the fabric of genre history. John Saxon. Then, Enter the Dragon, 1973, immortalized John Saxon in martial arts cinema. Now, at 88, they remain an unforgettable part of film history. R. Lee Ermey. Then, R. Lee Ermey delivered iconic authority in Full Metal Jacket, 1987. Now, at 81, their legacy is felt every time a classic film is revisited. Ed Harris. Then, In the Abyss, 1989, Ed Harris showed grit and emotional depth. Now, at 74, their name is synonymous with bold, unforgettable characters. David Soul. Then, Starsky and Hutch, 1975-79, made David Soul a household name. Now, at 81, their roles still define what audiences love in an action star. Jan Michael Vincent. Then, Jan Michael Vincent took to the skies in Airwolf, 1984-87, with charisma. Now, at 80, their legacy casts a long and respected shadow in cinema. Brad Johnson. Then, Flight of the Intruder, 1991, gave Brad Johnson his heroic spotlight. Now, at 65, they continue to inspire a new generation of movie lovers. Joe Lara. Then, Joe Lara brought adventure to life in Tarzan, The Epic Adventures, 1996. Now, at 62, they're seen as foundational figures in film history. Billy D. Williams. Then, in The Empire Strikes Back, 1980, Billy D. Williams defined cool under fire. Now, at 88, their powerful roles still leave a mark on audiences. Dennis Quaid. Then, Inner Space, 1987, blended action and humor with Dennis Quaid's charm. Now, at 71, their screen legacy continues to thrive long after the credits roll. Eric Roberts. Then, Eric Roberts showed true heart in Best of the Best, 1989. Now, at 69, their performances remain a masterclass in screen charisma. Tomas Milian. Then, Run Man, Run, 1968, gave Thomas Milian a rugged, iconic role. Now, at 92, their name is still spoken with admiration by film lovers. Craig T. Nelson. Then Craig T. Nelson flexed his action chops in Action Jackson, 1988. Now, at 81, their legacy continues to inspire retrospectives and tributes. Keith David. Then, They Live, 1988, showcased Keith David's raw power and presence. Now, at 69, they remain etched into the memory of action fans. Louis Gossett Jr. Then, Louis Gossett Jr. inspired audiences in Iron Eagle, 1986. Now, at 89, their presence in cinema continues to be felt and appreciated. Dean Cain. Then, in Lois and Clark, 1993-97, Dean Cain brought heroic charm to TV. Now, at 58, their contributions still command respect in the film community. Alec Baldwin. Then, The Getaway, 1994, allowed Alec Baldwin to step into a gritty role. Now, at 67, their unforgettable characters live on in pop culture memory. James Woods. Then, James Woods played it tough and sharp in The Specialist, 1994. Now, at 78, their storytelling and screen power endure across generations. Michael Nouri. Then, Michael Nouri impressed in The Hidden, 1987, with layered intensity. Now, At 79, their spirit continues to blaze in the hearts of movie fans. C. Thomas Howell, then The Hitcher, 1986, brought out C. Thomas Howell's fearless side. Now, at 58, their fierce portrayals stand the test of time. Michael Paré. Then, Streets of Fire, 1984, made Michael Paré an underground action icon. Now, at 66, their legacy is written in the language of action greatness.